The film department is supported by UNLV Film. At the film department of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, every story has a beginning. With degree programs for undergraduates and graduates, state-of-the-art equipment and facilities, incredible professional internships around the world, and expert guest speakers, students discover the power and potential of cinema as they prepare for the film and television industry and beyond. Learn more at unlv.edu/film. UNLV Film. Find your voice, tell your story.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of the Film Department podcast at UNLV. Thank you for coming out. I feel so much better. All right, my name is Matthew Trudeau. I'm in my second semester at UNLV, and if you can believe it, I still got chosen for this. I don't believe it either. With me is Professor Mona Nahm. She is a professor of film, architecture, and design here at UNLV, and then with me are my beautiful, well, one of them's beautiful co-hosts. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Lex. I'm a third-year film major and also a psychology major.
Hi everyone, I am Robbie Baker and I am a fourth-year theater, stage, and screen acting student.
And we are so very excited to be here today. We just watched Luca Guadagnino's latest film, After the Hunt. Now, we're going to start off with a quick spoiler-free review, one or two sentences. Robbie, do you want to kick us off for that?
Oh yeah, of course, throw me under the bus like that. Anyway, so I would like to say that I think this is probably this director's favorite film of mine. I've watched recently a few of his other films, and I just really enjoyed the amount of intensity that was in it that felt right in place.
Very similar to Robbie, I do think the intensity was pretty amazing, and also the ambiguity, which I know we'll talk about a little later. So that's probably my favorite aspect of this movie.
I'm just stressed out. I think that the film gives you a lot to think about. And there is a lot of questions of like, who is right and who is wrong? Did you see all the hands? Where's the blood? Was the blood on whose hands, right? So there's a lot of little nuggets of amazing things that we can talk about.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more with the stressed out comment. I've never felt my heart race so much in this auditorium. That was intense. I mean, if I had to sum it up in one sentence, I would just say, I'm not a philosophy major. That's about it.
And it shows.
Yeah, and it shows. But Robbie brought up a good point. I know us three recently watched a handful of Luca's recent films, and I'd love to quickly compare and contrast. I mean, what was his most recent film? Was that Challengers?
Yes, I do believe it was.
Yes.
Challengers. So, I mean, right out the gate, anyone want to start? Challengers to After the Hunt. I mean, it was a big jump from one to the other.
Oh, absolutely. I would personally say that I definitely was not a fan of Challengers. I thought that it was a lot of, oh gosh, how to put this lightly, male genitalia being measured. And I wasn't a fan. However, this one, After the Hunt, was surprisingly well done, and I think that I have a little bit more hope for the future with this director.
As far as both, I feel like the cinematography is very Luca Guadagnino. Like, no matter what cinematographer he works with, there's that certain vibe that he has, and he's very intentional with every single shot that he, portrays. And so I think that is very loud in After the Hunt in comparison to Challengers.
I would say that one of the most amazing thing about Luca is that in every single story, every single character is multifaceted. There is no good without something else, right? There's no dark without light. And I feel like the complexity of his characters and the relationships is probably one of the geniuses of his ability to direct, and the tension, right? I mean, the music, it's like, I think I'm teaching a production design in horror right now, and there are moments where you think it's like almost horror when they're like, Julia Roberts is coming to the door, ding, 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 and then you get the sound, and you're like, something bad's gonna happen, and then it just kind of chills out. But the power of that music is the tension of the mind, right? And I think the Challengers has something very similar.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was sitting next to Lex, and Lex was jumping a lot more than me. Thank goodness for that. And thank goodness we're in the back. Otherwise, I would have embarrassed myself. But all those big, as you put it, dun dun like that, those got me. They all got me. I disagree with Robbie because I loved Challengers. Challengers was a really fun watch for me. But I think, I mean, the biggest difference between After the Hunt and Challengers gave you a little sprinkle of what's actually going on with every aspect of the story. And similar to Challengers, there's so much story. There's a million different characters and storylines and subtext happening all at the same time. But with After the Hunt, I never knew what was going to come next. I never knew what was actually happening. I didn't know who was telling the truth. I couldn't tell you who was lying. And I feel like this just shines so well with Luca's directing style. I had this impression that he was saying to their different actors, like, hey, this is the truth, but pretend it's not. Or this isn't the truth, but pretend that it is. I just got that, especially with Io's character and Andrew's character, Hank and Maggie.
Or even similarly, it's like he told every actor that your story is the truth.
Yeah.
You know, so just kind of portray it that way, no matter what, however else the interactions are.
And they nailed it. Nailed it. At one point, I'm thinking, oh, I'm rooting for this character. I'm rooting for Maggie. I'm rooting for Hank. I'm rooting for Alma. Whoever it was. And then the next second, the next scene, no, not at all. I'm rooting for someone else now.
I think that's what really makes it more of a mystery flick than anything else, is the fact that you really have to watch all the way to the end in order to make that kind of depiction for yourself as to what is your personal truth.
Did anyone have a personal truth?
Oh, I don't know if you guys ever seen Philip Seymour Hoffman and Meryl Streep in Doubt. This feels like a very modern kind of look at a story where all the way through to the end, it's not quite clear who is not telling the truth, right? And even when Alma was attacking Maggie, everything that Alma said is almost the same Alma confession at the very end, right? Yeah. So there is a very similar mirroring happening here that we're seeing.
Yeah. Well, and so I brought this up a few days ago. We had the opportunity to read through a little bit of a treatment for the movie, and we were discussing how I don't think I watched the same movie you did, or you did, or you did. And I doubt I watched the same movie anyone in this beautiful audience watched. I don't have my glasses on, I don't know if you're beautiful. But I know I saw every single story through my own context, through my own life, through my own personal experiences, which are not the same as anyone else's in here. So I know one thing Luca wanted from this movie was for people to talk. And I feel like that's all I can do after watching this, is I just want to talk. I want to hear what you thought. I want to hear your stories and your experiences and how you relate to these characters. Because I'm sure we all relate to these characters in one way or another, in bad ways, in good ways, in mediocre ways, just everything. I talked a lot. Please, someone take over.
I think one of the most powerful things about this is the fact that it relates so much to what we have seen in modern culture with the Me Too movement, in where you see a lot of individuals, especially those that are in power, being questioned about these decisions that they have made. And I think that for my personal perspective, I would like to say that I think Maggie was telling the truth. I think that there was a lot of these ways that Andrew Garfield's character Hank would behave that would kind of give him as a tell that he might not entirely be telling the truth.
And also the scene where Hank was, advancing onto Alma, it kind of gives, a little hint of what he actually is capable of. So, we get to see that behavior, and it's not completely out of character for him.
I definitely think that there is a kernel of truth in all of them, because that's usually where the lie is the best lie, right? If there is no truth within it, then it's too obvious. So if we really have to dig into each of the character, you'd have to wonder where's the truth in each of them, right? Even Alma's husband, he has a tell that comes, we see that he has a flaw. And we see that There's a flaw in every single one of them. Maggie was called out for maybe being with a partner for a certain reason, and then towards the end, there's something else going on. I just realized I can't give away the story. I better stop talking about whether we find out. But in general, I think that we want to recognize that there was no perfect person in the story. There's no hero here. There's a bunch of anti-heroes trying to figure out how do they get it to be about their story. Right?
I think that's a perfect way to put it. And I definitely think this is going to be a movie that you need to watch more than once to really get a feel for it. But I also think no matter how many times you watch it, you're never going to be able to decide who is telling the truth and who isn't. Because I also think, I mean, this is going to sound controversial, I also think the truth isn't what is important in this story. I mean, it's Julia Roberts' story, it's Alma's story, and at the end of the day, in the context of the movie, she's not a part of what the conflict is. Well, she is, but not directly. She was not in that apartment. We didn't see what was in that apartment. She didn't see what was in that apartment, so we don't know. We don't know what's happening. But as I was watching, this is kind of backtracking a bit, I found myself looking at their eyes the most. Now, I have an acting background, I know, boo. But the eyes tell a lot. And the one thing I noticed is that Maggie never made eye contact. And Hank only made eye contact. At least for the most part. I'm sure if I watched it again, I'd see, oh, no, okay, I was wrong. Never work in absolutes, people. But that's interesting to me. One of the things I always hear is that if they're not looking at you, if they're not making eye contact, they're telling a lie. And Hank seems so comfortable. Eating that Italian food or whatever it was, it looked good. I mean, the sounds are gross, but it looked good.
Oh yeah, all the chicken wings for everyone.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you who was telling the truth, but also, at a certain point, I found myself not caring what the truth was because I wanted to know what Alma's truth was, and then we learned it. And it hit hard.
But doesn't that make a really good movie?
Makes a superb
right?
movie.
Yeah. You start to really drop and forget the parts that you're going into a movie and expect to see, and then you forget all of that, and then you're like, I'm on that journey. And then your journey maybe keeps switching, which is like the miracle of film in a way. It keeps changing your perspective, makes you question and dig deeper. But if you think about the design, the lighting, I mean, there are so many clues out there, right? Even the therapist was not perfect, right? The therapist got issues too. I mean, there is absolutely no perfection in there. But if you look at it, the camera has such a point of view in this film. The camera, either the POV, the actual POV of the characters. No, did you see the frames? Like every head is kind of a little bit cut off. Everyone's a little bit out of focus and in focus. There's always an obstruction in the scene. If you look at them dining, there's a table in front of them, there's a chair in front of them, there's something. It's almost like you can never really know who these people are because they're all surrounded by this almost like an armor that protects them, and they've built it up to hide and protect who they are almost. And through the design, so much of that is visible, and the lighting, you know.
If I can add on to that. Oh,
Yeah,
so sorry.
absolutely.
I think you're absolutely right on that, and it's something that I have seen in some of the directors of their films, is the fact that he is very much a person that puts in all of these different objects. We were just talking about this a couple nights ago when we were watching Call Me By Your Name, where they really focus from the point of view of these different objects in the room. And I think that, like you just said, that everyone has this kind of extra armor as a layer to them. I really like what you were saying there.
And then I also kind of want to add, we saw a lot of mirrors here. And so everything, like, you know, the obstructions to the camera, it's hiding who they truly are, but then also the mirrors, that gives like a little hint of who they maybe are, you know? I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I think it's absolutely about reflection, right? You're seeing somebody else. You're seeing somebody else who's got something, the fact that one character is almost mimicking the other character. It's a sense of reflection, right? It's like looking at yourself. I want to call out one more thing though. Remember the very opening, I think this is okay to say, we have the door sign that says Hank.
Yes.
Super legible, right?
Yes.
We can identify it, we can read it. As the story goes, the information that is written is harder, faster. You can't read it. It's a little too far. It's a little too blurry. it's starting to hide, right? It's like, these are not the truths that matter. The truths that matter is this person is this person, right? Start questioning the information that's given to you, and that will give you more power as an observer and as a watcher.
So it's more so humanistic then.
Absolutely,
We're focusing
I think
on the
so.
souls. We're not focusing on,
Yeah,
the information
well, that's a
around
good
them.
one. So Lex is great. So if you don't know yet.
That definitely makes it a lot more of an intimate film. And one of the things that I think also helped with the intimacy of this film is, and I know we've brought it up before, is the score. If you really pay close attention, and it was something that I started noticing back when I was watching Challengers, is how crucial the music actually is to what is going on. And in this film in particular, it was almost like a dance. Like if the music were to go in a certain direction, there was a head bob, there was a movement, the hands would clasp, the hands would unclasp. There was a lot of things going on with the score underneath it that, once again, I think builds that intimacy.
Sorry, when you mentioned the hand, I got excited. So like the rings, how much does the jewelry is like being noticed in every single frame, right? But back to the sound. The sound is so amazing, because did you hear how much silence the film had? There were so many moments where there is no sound, and that just makes it, when the sound comes back, it's even more impactful. Yeah.
You're all looking at me. You're all so much smarter than me, is the first thing I want to say. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about how she had Milk Duds at the beginning and Reese's Cups at the end. Did anyone else see that?
What is the significance of that, Matthew?
But
I'm
wait,
trying to
wait,
think
wait,
of a
wait.
philosophical...
No, that brings up a great thing. Oral fixation. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Everyone was eating and snacking. The
smoking and
secretary
drinking.
smoking and drinking. They're walking down the hallways and they're putting things in their mouth. It's almost like, oh, sorry, that too. And I got very excited. I just remembered one thing else. But like the oral fixation, the desire to be heard, to be spoken, to talk, right? But then the things they talk about and how much teaching was really in there. Like maybe like 1%. And how accessible was the teaching. Like, if you're not a philosophy major, did you get half of that? And the question is it a question of how inaccessible is the idea of higher ed and academia? It's an inaccessible thing. People on the outside don't understand how it works. And they've made the film to make you feel like you really don't understand how it works, right?
I feel like if I was a philosophy major, I wouldn't have liked it as much.
Ah, so philosophy, do you know much about it? How do you feel?
I think since we're a group full of performing arts majors, I think that we might grasp philosophy a little bit better than the average student. However, I would also have to say that I don't have the background for it, but I think that if you are involved in the arts, you need to understand philosophy, even if it's just a little bit. And so I think that this film for arts majors can be very eye-opening.
I always ask my students, what's the takeaway of this film that you can really like think about on your own life? Mm-hmm. Like when you watch this film, what are your thoughts walking away from it? I'm asking you now.
Oh my gosh.
You're looking over at me. You're putting me on the spot. I suppose just off the top of my head, I'm thinking we all have our own truths. We all have our own backstories. I kind of touched on this in the beginning. So when you watch, I'm going to swear, when you watch a shit show like that just occurred with all these characters who had so much, it's easy to walk away and think maybe I shouldn't judge as much, which is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm a very judgy person.
Good to know.
I just hate and hate and hate all day long, and maybe that fixed me.
I have him in my class. I better be very
You gotta
afraid.
be very careful. I feel like. Actually, I need to collect my thoughts. Robbie, go ahead.
Oh boy.
Robbie, don't collect your thoughts. Go.
Okay, I'm going. There was one line towards the end that I think was very impactful, and it was along the lines of the death of philosophy is politics. I want to say that probably my biggest takeaway from this entire thing is there is always another side to the story. And I think that it's something that I do my best with in my own personal life when it comes to well, politics. And I think that there's always a third side. There's always a fourth side. There's never this one or two, red, blue, black, white. It doesn't matter. There's always some other way to look at something. And so for this film, and with how many different sides to the story that there were, it is so important that you don't make a rash call with just one tiny bit of the information, and that you're able to really look at it from all sides before you finally go, I think that's what it is.
I think the best example of that in the movie was Frederick, Alma's husband.
Definitely.
I mean, I was watching him. He was my favorite character. He was funny, first of all.
Absolutely.
And he was just so heartfelt. He loved, even though he wasn't getting love back. He asked questions. He wanted to know more before saying anything else. That last scene, which, by the way, okay, hold on, off topic. That last shot with him.
Don't give it away.
Spoilers.
It was great.
It was
a
a really
amazing.
good last shot with him, Matthew said. But he wanted to know more before he put his own input in. I mean, and I think he was like a therapist or something along those lines, which is what a good therapist does.
Yes.
But he just embodied that idea so well.
Can I also bring up Frederickson? His what am I trying to say? The way he was giving Alma the supplements every morning, the oral fixation, bringing it back to that. I think him doing that and her never taking it, it was like a symbolization of him wanting the truth from her. And then we got that at the end. And right before that scene is when we first saw her take the supplements. So I was just thinking about that.
I like all these ideas. God, films that make you talk about it, to me, is a successful film. But when I think about what I would walk away from this film, I think that we have a habit as humans to put people on pedestals. We want to think highly of the people we care about and we respect. And I think that the higher the pedestal, the higher the fall. So I think meeting people where they're at and kind of allowing yourself to say, this relationship feels okay. And this is a little bit, maybe it is philosophy in a way, but maybe it's not even about film, but meeting people where they're at and allowing them to make mistakes or be who they are and accepting them. I think there's a better chance of less lies and a better chance of having to hide who we are constantly, by accepting that even with whatever failures or experiences we've had in our lives, it doesn't diminish who we are.
I was just having a very recent conversation about this with my mother, actually, who's in the audience.
Julie.
Yes. And we were talking about just meeting people where they're at and how that is crucial to having a great relationship with somebody. You know, we're not perfect. We're human. Human is the definition. Perfect is not the definition of human. We make mistakes, we learn, we grow, and I think meeting people where they're at is one of my biggest takeaways from this movie, despite the fact that I probably disagree with like 90% of everything happening. But yeah, meeting people where they're at, it's integral to this specific story.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, that ties back into what Luca said he made this film for. He wants people to talk.
And that's a good thing, because this is a podcast.
I want to go back a little bit.
Yes.
You are a production designer. The apartment. Franklin. Frederick and Alma's apartment. The one thing I noticed the most was that it was neat but disorganized, specifically in the bookshelves. I was looking at the bookshelves, and maybe this is just me, but it is a cardinal sin to stack books on top of each other. Did you notice that?
It's in my house, it's like that too.
Cardinal sin,
no.
Professor. You hear that? You hear
Well,
that?
I mean,
That's the
when
sound
you
of my
have
grade
so
going
many.
down.
It's usually when I pull the books off the shelf and I realize I've got 13 books on the table and I don't know what to do with them. I just start shoving them back on the shelf.
Oh no,
That
that is
happens to
also
be
me. Oh no.
Well, I thought it was a really good
It's
showcase of their
realistic.
facade.
It's realistic.
Maybe for you it's realistic. My bookshelf is beautiful.
Do you have OCD by any chance?
No,
You guys
I
should
love
see
that.
Maddie's bookshelf. It's gnarly.
His bookshelf,
His bookshelf
is
is
actually
gnarly.
very neatly put together.
I will tell you, I used to alphabetize my bookshelves. And then I realized it's because I had too much time on my hand, and it wasn't actually how I was using the books. Now when I see the books that are scattered, I know they're the ones I love the most because I keep pulling the same one out. But can I talk about the apartment?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. So like, why was that hallway so dark when she got sent to the bathroom? Like, I'm just like, I was sitting there going like, has she been in this house? Does she know exactly where it is? She opened a closet full of, I thought it was lingerie maybe or something.
It looked like that,
Like,
yeah.
what is the director trying to get us to feel and think, right? Is that already a red herring? Are we already being navigated to think that something unsavory might be happening, that someone would know your house well enough to walk in the dark and not look for a light switch? There's a lot of questions, right? And that's a design and a cinematography and a story. One cannot go on without the other. And the music, right? At that moment, I think there was a lack of music at that moment, and it was so eerie. Like, it felt like a horror movie, that something's gonna jump out and say hello to you, or someone's gonna open the door and catch you doing something. And then when the footsteps start happening, right, it has that. It's almost like how life is scary. Feelings are scary, people are scary, emotions are scary, and I think the whole environment just builds up to it. And last thing, I think the house got messier and messier and messier as the story went on, and it almost felt like something is unraveling, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, from the beginning, you used the term red herring, and I feel like this movie was just full of red herrings. That's all it was. Like, why was that envelope there? Why was it hidden there? Spoilers. Why was it hidden there? Like,
Who hid it?
who hid it?
Right?
Was it Alma? Was
Yeah,
it
I mean, we all thought about it, right?
Yeah. Why did Maggie pull out that one thing?
How did she know to look over there too?
Exactly. Well, I
Well, I
think
knew
she
she
was
was looking for toilet paper, but she paused.
We've all been there.
She paused a little bit.
I noticed she didn't wash her hands before she started
Yeah,
opening
that's-
cabinets. Maybe I am OCD. Oh no, or is that germaphobe? I don't know. I just work here. But I like the characters themselves were red herrings. Andrew Garfield, like Hank, it wasn't Andrew Garfield acting, it was Hank acting. He was putting on this facade he was sitting up in his chair like this the whole time, and he was like just constantly moving and constantly rearranging the room, because why let anyone stand still? And then when that wrench was thrown into those gears, that's when we started to see some actual emotion come out of him.
You know, I love the fact that you're bringing up Hank, and this is actually something that I turned to Lex in the middle of the movie about, but on his arm, he has a snake tattoo. And, you know, it's kind of that snake in the grass mentality that I think his character had as an underlying tone pretty much throughout the whole thing. And so I feel like every time he was on screen, you knew that you had to pay attention to what it was he was saying, even if he wasn't the thing in focus at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, he might just be a fan of the movie Anaconda. I'm just putting that out there.
I think I want to call out one more thing. It's like, I get a lot of Kurosawa vibe watching this. You know, Run, this kind of like movie ideas, Shakespeare, right? You kind of get this feeling of like, whose story is whose. And I don't think we can finish this podcast without talking about performance.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Can we talk a little?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't have good performance without good writing, and the writing was phenomenal.
The
I'm just
writing
putting that
was
out there
phenomenal.
first. This was a first script for this writer.
Yes.
Amazing already. But now I'll jump into performance. I just had to say that. All of these characters were so flawed and so egotistical, and they were taken out by that. Like tourists at a chocolate
human.
factory, one by one, they were falling. Like it was, like they took themselves out. I just hit the microphone. Fix it in post. They took themselves out. They took themselves out because they couldn't just fix their problems fix their egos before it was a problem. And that was the case with all of them. No matter how likable they were in a scene or unlikable they were in a scene, they were egotistical, they were entitled, they were not super lovable, which I've noticed is kind of a pattern in Lucasfilms.
Oh, for sure.
He doesn't like likable characters. He wants you to watch a story with unlikable characters.
He wants to test the limits to
Yeah.
see how far we can go to like a human.
And he's testing my limits. I did not like his characters. I've been talking too much again. Please, someone take over.
Talk about the title.
Acting. Huh?
Talk about the title.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, let's finish up performance real fast, and then let's talk about our title.
Oh, goodness. So in terms of performance, I would like to definitely highlight Maggie for a moment. I think that there was a lot of really good intimacy between her character and everyone on screen, especially because she was definitely the driving force of the entire film. There was one particular scene where you see the hands of both her and Julia Roberts' characters, and just the intimacy that you can get from something so small is so great. And then seeing the eyes reflecting that, and I know we've spoken about the eyes a little while ago, but in that one particular scene, seeing her eyes and Julia Roberts' eyes when they make this intimate embrace definitely was kind of a highlight of acting in the film for me.
You guys keep looking at me like I've just got something to say. Lucky for you, I do. Yes. Well, I would disagree with you on one thing. You said Maggie was the driving force. I think Alma was the driving force, really. Which, again, going back is interesting because it wasn't her story, it wasn't her conflict, but she was the driving force, at least for me. Again, we all watch different movies. They were all acting. Not the actors, the characters. Hank, Maggie, Alma,
Yeah.
Frederick.
Yeah, there's a facade.
Him.
They had to keep going.
They were all acting. None of them were truthful from the very beginning, which that's hard to pull off.
And notice when a truth is being asked of, they completely divert the question.
Yeah, or they fall apart.
Yeah.
That happened multiple times. Sometimes quite physically in Alma's case. She fell apart.
Now, not to change the subject, but what did you guys think of the title itself?
Subtle, Robbie. Okay. Breaking it down, after the hunt, the only scene we had after the hunt was that very last one between Maggie and Alma. That was the only one. And I'm not sure exactly what they wanted me to take away from that. I almost didn't like it. I'm not gonna lie. I almost didn't like it. Someone please continue.
I would argue that the hunt was the entire movie, the whole film, because of the fact that you're hunting for the next piece of information. And so, yeah, at the end of the film, we get a little bit of a thing, not to give away spoilers, but you get this little piece of information to see what is the fallout from everything that happens. You know, there's always one more piece of information that gets discovered, and you don't know when the hunt is going to end.
Yeah. Could you say that this is after the hunt?
The conversation.
Well, this conversation.
The conversation is after the hunt.
Because once again, Luca is what Luca wants.
I guess I would ask what the hunt is. Like, what are? Is
The
it
truth?
the one? Is it?
Is it?
Is it? Are they hunting for a title? Are they hunting for a promotion?
I mean,
are they
Is it
hunting for
materialistic?
love? Are they hunt is to want to get to something, to obtain. However it is, right? You hunt
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah,
You scavenger hunt. You look for things, right? So I think it's a brilliant title because it has such an openness and like a vagueness to it, and it requires all of us to consider it.
Yeah. I think when I think of the hunt, I mean, it was all based around the hashtag #MeToo movement, which at certain points was very, this is not the right way to put it, a lot of times it was being compared to like the Salem witch hunt. You know, the words of one against the reality for another. What's true, what's not true. Either way, we're getting punished for it. So that's kind of the thing that was invoked in me is his truth going against her? Is her truth going against him? Yes. Which one's going to end up on top?
And I think that is a wonderful place to leave off for tonight's podcast
Suspense.
episode.
Leave them in suspense. Yes. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you guys so much. Go follow us. Go follow us on Instagram at the Film Department Podcast. Message us, send us DMs, comment on our posts. We want to hear what you guys think. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Good night.
Imagine Imagined by the Rogers Foundation, the Beverly Theater brings cinematic connectivity, novel collaborations, live happenings, cultural portals, and a zest for independent spirits to downtown Las Vegas. With a mission to stage uncommon cinematic, literary, and live experiences, the Beverly Theater is Las Vegas's first and only independent film house, storytelling arena, and live music venue. Check out our event calendar at thebeverlytheater.com.